Well, as I was preparing my remarks for today, I couldn't help but think back to January 2020 when I last became chair. So think back a bit. We just finished the agreement with Amazon. Our commercial office vacancy rate challenges were over. Our vice chair, Eric Gutschall, and I were looking forward to doing good things for Arlington. And I said then that equity, innovation, and resilience would be my focus for 2020. It was going to be an easy year. Then, Eric became ill in February, and he never came back. In March, the pandemic shut down the world. We all innovated. No one could do exactly what they'd done before. We set up studios in our homes for virtual meetings. In April, instead of budget work sessions, we held COVID briefings to share new information, which information changed constantly. Businesses closed practically overnight. Many Arlington employees changed their jobs. Vaccination centers were set up. Permitting was changed for outdoor dining. Nonprofits adapted to new needs. Residents created new assistance networks. Everyone turned to helping our community survive, both economically and literally. The focus was on equity, to make sure that everyone's needs were met. We innovated constantly to meet changing needs and circumstances, and we became more resilient. So here we are, 4 years later. The board is back together in one room, but virtual work is here to stay. Our office vacancy rate is a concern again. Federal pandemic assistance is done, but we still have people needing homes they can afford and food and medical care. Our needs are up and our revenues are down. We continue to innovate, but this year will not be an easy one. However, Arlington is up to the challenge, and we should be. We have many resources to meet our challenges. We have economic resources, even though that crucial pandemic financial help from the federal government, thank you, President Biden, has ended. And we have great human capital, which is us, all of us. We were resilient during the pandemic because our whole community, our government, and our residents pulled together to make sure that everyone, not just the well-off, had food, shelter, and medical care. We did things differently. A resilient community can adapt and cares for everyone in it. So, as we continue our transition this year to whatever is becoming normal, equity, innovation, and resilience will continue to be my general focus areas. However, there are two particular areas on which I will concentrate to make us more resilient. I'll go over those just briefly here. First, when times are tough, social resilience is critical. We need to all pull together, as we did during the pandemic. However, the missing middle debate showed last year that we do not have a clear vision for our future as a county that many people understand. Arlington has not done an overall future visioning process since the 1986 report, The Future of Arlington, the year 2000 and beyond. It's a good report, but we are now well beyond the year 2000. It's time for another visioning process to think again about where we want to go as a county and about what the big issues and challenges will be for us in, say, the year 2050. A socially resilient community knows where it wants to go. If we're clear about where we want to go, we can figure out what we need to do to get there. As much as possible, I think this visioning process needs to come from our community. So this year, using a variety of techniques, we will gather thoughts, suggestions, and ideas directly from as many people as possible, telling us what they want Arlington to be in the year 2050. I'm sure there are many different visions of what our county should be in 2050, and some of them are mutually exclusive. But I suspect that most will fall into 2 or 3 general vision buckets which we can present at the end of this year. To start things off, on February 5th, we will host a panel discussion with a climatologist, Jason Samenow of the Washington Post, a demographer, Hamilton Lambert of the Weldon Cooper Center, and a business executive, Holly Sullivan of Amazon. Each will talk about what they see for our region in 2050 and what that might mean for us now. Invitations will be going out soon. While attendance is limited, the discussion will be live streamed and recorded for later viewing. My second specific focus for this year is energy resilience. In all the news of horrible natural and man-made disasters this year, a constant storyline is the lack of electric power. Modern life depends on electricity. We need it for communications, transportation, food and water, medical care, and to keep our homes safe for us when it's very hot or very cold. Modern cities depend on electricity for life. Without power, people die. Now, Arlington's been focusing for years on energy conservation and using renewable energy to help our environment. While not moving as fast as we might like, we are making progress. But still, whether it comes from wind, a solar farm, or from a source that uses fossil fuel, nearly all our energy comes to us through a large and complex power grid. So watching the news this year with my 95-year-old mother, I started to think about the grid on which we all depend. There are redundancies in the system, but we have outages every year. There are a lot of vulnerabilities in a big complex system with miles and miles of wires and many transmission stations. So what's the possibility that we will never have a really big storm, a paralyzing cyber attack, a coordinated physical act of violence, or just plain old human error to cause a major power failure? The probability of any specific event may be low, but it's quite likely that something will happen to cause widespread power outages, if not this year, within the next decade. Just since I've been on this board, we've experienced the derecho of 2012 and the flash flood of 2019, among other things. And then we need to think what happens if this power outage is during a severe cold or very hot spell. And what if it lasts a long time? We would all be pretty uncomfortable at best, but for the very young, the very old like my mother, and those in poor health, a long power outage could be fatal. We are not energy resilient. Those with the fewest resources would be the most vulnerable in a long power outage. It's great that there are more and more solar roofs in Arlington, but few of those roofs are connected to a battery that can send power back into the home. When the grid goes down, most of those homes cannot access the power they're producing. There are backup generators in some public and private buildings, but not many, and most of those generators require fuel deliveries to run for very long. We're not energy resilient, but we can be. We just need a little more innovation with an eye to equitable energy resilience. On the government level, we can do a lot more to make our county and school buildings energy resilient so they could help residents should the grid not function. And, grid or no grid, we could save money and energy. Energy resilience is good for us and the environment. On the individual home level, those with solar roofs could get batteries to store and then provide back the power they produce. Battery power for a whole house is pretty expensive, but a small battery for a few crucial things is not so expensive. Those without solar roofs could have just a single small panel and a small battery to, again, perhaps run some crucial things, to charge a cell phone and a computer, to power a light or a small window air conditioner. Today, this is not easy for anyone to figure out on a tight, especially if you're on a tight budget, but it is not rocket science. With some good information and some help, I think many of our residents could be energy resilient if they would like. We need to provide them with good information and support to do this, and we can do it. Future resilience, both social resilience and energy resilience, is the goal. Equity and innovation can get us there. So I am excited about this year. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm looking forward to working with our great staff. We've got wonderful staff, this new multi-generational board team, and our residents, all of you all, to make Arlington better and more resilient than ever. Thank you so much.